it's just covered with ice. And then my grandkids come, and it's like,
And everything.
sure.
And then they order things on Amazon for you.
They have to screen block or something. I don't know. It's kind of nice.
That's the whole.
You know, they're all anticipating. Somebody's gonna say, okay, I'll send it back to Let's go.
All right. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the February 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair this year. Joining me today is Commissioner Aaron Mays and Commissioner Bill Rippon. Also joining us today, we have our county clerk, Ms. Cindy Beck, and our county counselor, Mr. Rich Eckert. Ms. Beck, our first item.
First item is unfinished business. A, second reading, consider approval of Home Rule Resolution HR 2024-1 adopting the updated Shawnee County purchasing policy.
For those of you that weren't present last Thursday, we're just going to call that a mulligan. We did not do it right. We took a vote on it instead of it being a first reading. We had to go back and correct it. So this week, with Ms. Beck here keeping an eye on us, we're going to do it right. So this is our second reading.
Sure.
Good
Jennifer?
morning, Commissioners. Jennifer Sauer, Financial Administrator. As you said, this is the second reading of the updates to our purchasing policy under Home Rule Resolution. The section that we are making changes to from the previous purchasing policy is specifically the exemptions to the purchasing policy. Item A is just adding some verbiage to clarify that it includes drinks as well as food and other items, and that it also designates that liquor, cereal, malt beverage, and other licensed products can be purchased for our golf course concessions, still encouraging competitive bids. And then in addition to that, we are adding a letter G, which is for the purchases of real estate, which also will still require approval by the Board of County Commissioners. And prior to the purchase, the items would be brought forward to the financial administrator and the county counselor.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding the changes? Okay.
No.
Is there a motion to approve Home Rule Resolution HR 2024-1?
I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon,
Second.
second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank
Our
you.
next item, thank you. Our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are items A through K. Are there any questions or is there a motion?
I'll move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
This morning, we have vouchers totaling $95,151.06. Three items to note on there. Under Bridge Project, we've got $77,359.20 to Claver Construction. That is for the work on Southwest 107th over Elm Run. Under Parks Administration, $235,620 to Mammoth Sports Construction. That is for the turf replacement on the pony fields at Bettis. That is paid with ARPA funding and 100% complete now. Then under Public Works, $70,889.59 to Mid-States Materials is for additional road rock. So I don't have any questions about any of this or concerns, and I would move for approval.
I'll second. Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Noxious Weed Department, number 1, consider request for approval and signatures for the following. Item A, 2023 Annual Noxious Weed Eradication Progress Report, and B, 2024 Annual Noxious Weed Management Plan.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Landon, Director of the Weed Department. Every year by statute, we're required to file a annual report with the state, the KDA, and a management plan, basically identifying how we're gonna treat noxious weeds in Shawnee County for the next year. So this is that report I'm requesting signatures on. I wanted to explain the report to you a little bit this morning on how that information's collected and compiled. It takes our chemical sales for the year. If you come in and purchase 2,4-D to treat musk thistle with, takes those numbers along with the chemicals that we apply ourselves for other entities, and they compile them in this report, along with the annual surveys that we do for the state. Once it gets all those numbers together, then it gives a rough estimate of acreage that's infested in Shawnee County. So this report this year, probably like the last 4 that I've submitted, has showed an increase in Sericea lespedeza in Shawnee County. It's probably one of our most troubled weeds that we battle. It's probably something that we're going to continue to battle for quite a long time. So I just wanted to explain that to you, let you know that Cereca's on, it's running rampant in the county, started in the north, started in the south, and it's kind of headed both our direction from there. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So John, I understand that your department is to monitor roughly 75,000 parcels of land in Shawnee County, correct?
That's correct, sir.
And so your noxious weed program, is it just something that is part of the rural, outside of the cities, or does it cover cities as well?
It covers everything within Shawnee County.
Okay. And so when we talk about different noxious weeds, are you driving around and looking in Silver Lake and Rossville, Tecumseh, Dover, Auburn, and Topeka for noxious weeds, or are you just hitting the farms in the rural?
Every year I travel every road we have in Shawnee County, once
Okay.
a year.
And if people have questions about noxious weed on their property, whether they live in the city or the county, can they come down to your department and ask about
They
that?
can. They can buy chemical. If you live within the city limits of Topeka, say, just, with the courthouse, for instance. If you had noxious weeds present at the courthouse, you could come purchase chemical from us at a cost shared price to treat those noxious weeds.
Okay. All right.
So it's available to anybody in the county.
Questions?
And if they can't help, the K-State Research and Extension Office is a block away.
That's
Send them
correct.
over there.
And so if you just want to know what a weed is, that you don't know whether it's noxious or invasive or just what, pull it up, bring it to our office. If we can't identify it, then K-State, like Commissioner May says, just right down the office. I mean, it's a block away, and they'd be happy to help.
Commissioner Mays?
John, in your report, there's a part here, it talks about you have some test plots of honeysuckle. Are those on our property?
They are on our property. They're
Okay.
along Shunga Creek.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've done, with the pending possibility of honeysuckle being added to the noxious weed list, for the last 2 years, we've decided to take a little approach and see what chemicals work on it the best for us. The state recommends glyphosate in the fall after your grasses go dormant. And it stays green for quite a while and is buried out. And so we took an approach and we've tried some triclopyr products and some escort products on it. We've had great success with it. The downfall to that is those 2 products can also harm any of your good trees, And so when I say good trees, I reference like oaks and walnuts and things like that. Elms grow anywhere, and so I don't really consider an elm a good tree. Any tree is a good tree, but it's just not a great tree. So, those products will do damage to some of your more favorable trees. And so, we just wanted to see, is there other options besides glyphosate for the fall? When you start messing with the fall stuff, you're dependent on Mother Nature and when you can get out there. And so we wanted to see if we could do something during the summer while we're out treating noxious weeds to help. So I think it's going to be a great product. Any triclopyr product is going to be great for for us along like KDOT roads that, you know, they keep it all mowed, but honeysuckle's growing around the signs that you see. And so something that's not gonna have, you know, any damage to any good trees, I think will be a great place for it.
John, the 1970s and through the 80s, it was very common for new development to have pear trees planted. Where do the pear trees stand now on being added to the noxious?
In the last I've heard on this, and you know, there's, I think, depending on what Secretary Beam does, the last I've heard is we're mainly focusing on Calgary pear, the Calgary pear family, and so they will not put it to the noxious weed list, but what they're going to do is quarantine that to where it can't be sold at landscaping companies or tree farms. And so I think, you know, from that perspective, when you think about it, everywhere you see is Bradford pears. And so, you know, people line their driveways with them. Could you imagine the kickback they would get if you all of a sudden come to them and say, now you've got to cut those down? So they'll focus more on quarantining them, and it's the damage of what happens with the root. You know, they keep spreading from the root system. So
That is a concern that I would have, is if John Landon starts showing up and cutting down Bradford pears.
I can assure you that hopefully that won't happen. I don't think, in the early conversations that we've had, I don't think that's going to be a possibility.
But that is state regulated, not county regulated.
That is right. Even though as director and commissioners, we can add things to the noxious weed list, you know, it's been one of those things that I've been hesitant to do with honeysuckle. I've been asked 1,000 times to do it. But, you know, when you do something like that, you have to keep in mind that chemical is cost shared. And so it's subsidized by the county. And so, you know, if I just go crazy and start adding weed after weed after weed, then ultimately the taxpayers pay more because they're subsidizing that chemical. And so even though honeysuckle is very aggressive and is taking over, I think the people that have it in their pastures are doing their part to take care of it. And so to come in and put that financial burden on somebody that maybe had 6 or 7 and make it an enforcement issue is why I've been hesitant on doing it. But they have decided to look at the possibility of adding honeysuckle and then the cut leaf and common leaf teasel, and then removing one of the noxious weeds as well. So, you know, that's in the hands of Secretary Mike Beam, and I honestly look for him probably adopting it, and we'll just see later on this year though.
Okay. Any other questions for John?
John, you said that honeysuckle is now on the noxious plant list.
Well, if it's adopted by the Secretary of Ag, it will be, yes.
Would that mean nurseries and different box stores could no longer sell those? Would that be part of it?
That is correct, and then there would be an enforcement issue. It'd be like any other noxious weed. If you was to be found with it on your property, there'd be an
Yeah, so
enforcement
anybody in
action.
town who has or in a park or something, we'd
Yeah,
eradicate it.
and you know, for us, when you look at, say, Shunga Trail, it's full of honeysuckle. I mean, miles and miles of honeysuckle. And so, you know, how do we deal with that how does Tim deal with that at the Parks Department? How do we deal with it as the Weed Department? I think it's, you know, if this passes and it does become an actual noxious weed, I think Tim and I is probably gonna have to have long conversations on what we plan on doing and how we plan on attacking it. You know, because ultimately it's on county ground, and we've got to get rid of it, so.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Motion.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item C, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-73-2024, amendment number 2 with MCP Build, Inc., to establish the GMP amount of $3,866,369 for the Family Park Expansion Project utilizing approved capital projects bonding.
Good morning, Tim Laurent, Director of Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Department. So I'm excited to be here today to take this next step, hopefully with your approval. We started this way back in October. Well, we started it quite a long time ago with the master plan, but we started this design build process back in October of 2023. We've been working with MCP and HTK and other organizations, and I do have representatives from MCP and HTK here. Also gathering a lot of input from the Topeka Pickleball Association. We have a couple of members of the Pickleball Association here too. So I want to clarify just a little bit, or talk a little bit about this GMP. The number is $3,866,369. I want to remind the commission that we have already purchased the lighting for this project from Musco. And that's the vendor that we used almost exclusively at all of our locations. And that was $132,000. So once you throw that into this budget, the actual total cost for the project is $3,998,369. But what we're asking today, you've already approved that light purchase. So what we're asking today is to approve that guaranteed maximum price of $3,866,369. Well, another thing I'd like to bring up is that we were able to get, there's been a lot of discussion about what will be included in the project. So just to clarify and sort of get this on record, that we will have the, if you remember the Great Lawn, then the loop around the Great Lawn, we will have that entire loop as part of this project. We'll have a shelter house. We'll have windscreen for the pickleball courts. And then there's some additional light bollards and some sidewalk work that wasn't included initially. So all of those things will be in the project. So we'll have, you know, our destination playground, the shelter, the restroom, 16 pickleball courts, the entire Great Lawn. So again, happy to answer any questions.
I think first and foremost, it is under the $4 million budget
Correct.
that we had discussed. And then I'm sure that our media partners, if they have questions, they'll be reaching out as to what's all included. Other questions for Tim?
No, just like you said, I appreciate you being under budget, or right on budget,
Right
really.
on.
I mean, and I know that wasn't easy because there were some things that had to be modified because of the drainage and whatnot out there. And so I think that's commendable. So happy to see it moving forward.
Thank you.
You know, I'm glad to see this start happening. We talked about doing this 30 years ago in Parks and Recreation. For those of you who don't know, we have the Cypress Ridge Golf Course, and there's 80 acres to the north adjoining the golf course, and that's the area we're looking at. We currently have the Midwest Health Aquatic Center there, and there's also a fire station on the site. But this is it's gonna be monumental because we haven't done a community park in over 50 years. So its time has come.
Very exciting.
Yep, it is.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. And I want to thank HTK and MCP for their work on this as well. I know that there's a lot of work in the Pickleball Association, a lot of work to get to where we're at, and Parks and Rec as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C74-2024 with Racket and Paddle, awarding a bid for the operational management of the Crossover Tennis Complex. The annual management fee of $50,000 is available in the Parks and Recreation budget.
Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation Department. So we did receive 4 proposals for the management of the Crossover Tennis Complex. We worked with representatives from Topeka Tennis, specifically Mark Nordstrom, Greg Lutz, and Bob Keeshan. Mark and Greg sat in as we interviewed these candidates, and we're coming here today to ask for you to approve a contract with Racket and Paddle. And I have Kyle Markham here. Kyle is the owner and operator of Racket and Paddle. And yeah, we're asking you to approve this agreement. And I think Kyle would like to say a few words before we move forward.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Kyle Markham. I'm the owner of Racket and Paddle. And just wanted to say, really excited about this opportunity. Kossover, there's a lot of history with me in Kossover and playing tennis there growing up. And I just think there's a huge opportunity there to not only grow the tennis community here, but to bring in some really big national tournaments where we'd be bringing kids in from all over the country with this kind of a facility. So just really excited to get going with your blessing. So thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Mays?
Yeah, I'm curious. I've always thought that Kossover's a little underutilized with the pro shop side of things and the concession side of things. It really seems like that small building that we have on site is really just kind of a hangout. It's the only air-conditioned place on the site, but it's not really utilized to its full potential. Are you planning on making any changes there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're planning on selling rackets, balls, drinks, snacks, like actually having a pro shop there. When I went and visited last year, I mean, there really wasn't anything for sale there. So, I mean, I see a huge opportunity for the community, for the Topeka community. And our goal is to provide first-class service at a very affordable price. So that's kind of our business model.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C3, consider authorization and execution of contract C69-2024 with Brentag Mid-South Inc., awarding a bid for the purchase of aquatic chemicals used by Parks and Recreation during the 2024 season. Funding will be from the department's operating budget.
Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation Department. As the clerk stated, we went out for bids for our pool chemicals. We had 2 responses. We are recommending that we go with Brentag Mid-South Incorporated as the lowest and most responsive bidder. As I'm up here, I'm going to take the opportunity just to say that our pools are scheduled to open on May 25th, which seems a ways away, but it'll be here before we know it. And with that in mind, we are looking for guards. So if anybody's out there listening and they want a lifeguard, we've got summer jobs available. So
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just for the public and commission's knowledge as to why this is on a regular agenda and not consent is with the unknown amount of chemicals that we'll purchase, because it is setting the price, but the actual amount will be purchased as through during the year.
I'll elaborate on that a little bit. We budget $130,000 a year for chemicals. Last year, we spent $126,558. So, we have 7 pools that we operate, and it's, a lot of chemicals, a lot of work.
Any questions? All right. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And fill out your lifeguard applications. Our next item.
Item D, Information Technology, number 1, consider approval of request to purchase HP Elite Desk personal computers using the state of Kansas contract pricing at a cost not to exceed $100,000 to be funded by the Information Technology 2024 budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price, Information Technology. This is a little different than we've normally done with our tech refresh. I don't have a specific quote to add here. What we were finding when we were starting to get quotes brought together to present this is we would get a quote, and then a couple days later we'd get contacted that those PCs had sold and were no longer in stock. So the reason I'm asking just for a not to exceed is we're planning on going through the same procedures, getting quotes from our multiple vendors. These are coming off of state contract pricing. We're expecting to get about 140 PCs out of this purchase, and like I say, it's needed a little bit of flexibility because if I would have presented quotes, they would not have been what we were actually buying.
And Mark, this was a part of the presentation that you also made a couple of weeks ago during the work session.
Yes.
Questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item D2, consider authorization and execution of contract C75-2024, a renewal agreement with the Center for Internet Security to provide network security monitoring and reporting services for the Shawnee County Internet connections that are at an annual cost of $13,800 with funding from the Information Technology 2024 budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price again. This is just an annual renewal of our monitoring, one of our monitoring systems. We have quite a few through the Center for Internet and Security. Just our annual renewal and keep us under support and monitored.
Questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item D3, consider approval of payment for the second year of agreement, contract C378-2021, with Optiv for the Infinity Program to provide a cybersecurity architecture for multiple county systems to include upgrades to the covered software and hardware products and support for all covered software and hardware, utilizing $169,708 from the 2024 Information Technology budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price for the final time. Just a quick note, the notation on the agenda is actually wrong. It's not the second year, it's our third year. So this is our third year. In 2021, we entered into a 3-year agreement with Optiv. This really is kind of just making sure you guys are aware, since it's such a large amount. I just don't want to make a $169,000 payment without you guys being aware. Just, that's kind of where we're at.
Questions? Commissioner Mays?
So this one, we talked about this before,
Yes.
but it probably doesn't really need our approval. You're just bringing it so we know about it, right?
Correct, yeah. In 21, the contract in 21 was for 3 years, and it set the pricing at that time. Just because the amount of what we're paying per year, I like to bring it in front of you just so the public sees what we are spending our budget on.
Anything else?
Just for the record, I'll go ahead and move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item E, Sheriff's Office, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C76-2024, a 6-year contract for SUAS, which stands for Small Unmanned Aerial Systems, aerial flight replacement with manufacturer Skydio. Is that a price? This sole source purchase was made in the USA and they're made in the USA and would provide 10 units along with technology refresh. Total cost of $571,759.30 to be paid over 6 years. Initial payment of $175,000 to be paid with $50,000 from capital outlay funds, and the remaining $125,000 to be paid out of the equipment and technology fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shane Googler, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. In layman's terms, we would like to update our drone fleet. We started a small drone fleet back in 2017. Drones are technology, as I'm sure Mr. Price can attest to. The life expectancy on any technology is very short, 3 years, so we're beyond that life expectancy. Sheriff Hill updated the drone program when he started back in 2019. The idea with this is, number one, there's going to be federal regulations coming down where all drones flown in the United States need to be made in the United States, no longer manufactured in China. This will get us in compliance with those, as well as with our real-time crime center. We'll have the availability to connect with all of these drones and see them from there and be able to direct and really enhance our public safety efforts. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, I know that a number of our departments in the county now use drones. Public Works has used drones for work on road work. The Weed Department uses it in looking at application of chemicals. Parks and Rec uses it. Emergency Management has it, and now the Sheriff's Office is expanding their fleet. A question that might get asked is, why do we have each of the individual departments having their own drones? Why don't we have drone force? Would just be a countywide drone force. And again, so how does your drones, I guess that's a long way to get to, What differentiates your drones from what the other drones are using?
I think it's a very good question, and it's no different than the vehicles we buy. The weed department has different vehicles for different applications. The same with everyone else. The sheriff's office law enforcement drones are equipped with a bunch of different technology, forward-looking infrared, et cetera, cameras, the availability to, if someone's lost, if we have a child lost or a senior lost, it gives us the ability to go up, identify where they're at, and help locate them in a more expedient manner.
And I think the other question I get asked is, how often are these drones actually being used? Are they just sitting in a box somewhere, or are they actually being deployed and used in the operations?
We deploy our drones quite a bit. Obviously, we have, there's a training piece that goes along with that, so they're flown for training, but we've had several activations. I don't remember the number right off the top of my head, but I think I have it right here. We've flown no less than 450 missions since we had our drone program.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, your drones don't spray, so you can't use them in the weed department.
No, we don't have any spray capabilities at all.
And the weed department has no need probably for cameras, so that's our other drone. And of course, I don't know if a lot of people know, so you have to get like almost like a pilot's license to fly these anymore. And so I suppose you have a number of staff that are qualified to fly these drones.
Correct. All our drone operators go through extensive training. Sergeant Coffin heads up our drone program and has had even more extensive training as well as a couple others, but all of our drone operators go through extensive training to be able to operate the drones in a safe manner.
It's a new world.
Questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item F, Public Works. Number 1, consider approval to issue an RFQ for the purpose of having an interested third party prepare a comprehensive safety action plan relating to a Safe Streets and Roads for All, SS4A, planning and demonstration grant awarded to Shawnee County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works. I believe it was last week you approved a contract with KDOT for a part of this project cost, $21,000. I have yet to work out an agreement with the Federal Highway Administration, but that's coming. In the meantime, I would like to concurrently bring a consultant on board to not begin work, because I can't begin work until I have this agreement with FHWA in place, but I'd like to at least get a consultant on board, so when the agreement does occur, we can start work immediately. I look forward to your questions.
Questions for Kurt? None, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item F2, acknowledge change order number 1, the final order, to contract C-285-2023 with Claver Construction Company, Inc., reflecting as bid versus as constructed quantities plus 3 days of LDs, don't know what LDs are, for a bridge replacement project on Southwest 107th Street over, Elm Run Creek. This change order provides for a construction cost decrease of $8,750. Final project cost of $626,618.28 is less than the project budget approved on August 3rd of 2023.
Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works. This was a project we let relatively late last year. It was intended to, much of the work was intended to take place over the winter months. The contractor did get caught out with the heavy snow we got around Thanksgiving, so that was the reason for the 3 days of liquidated damages. But overall, the project went well. I provided you pictures of before and after. And you may be asking, well, why is the new structure so much larger than the old one? Well, let's understand, when they built the original structure, they were just trying to accomplish the minimum that they could. Labor was cheap, materials were expensive. Today, we are trying to size a structure so that we have the road overtops, once every so often. And when I say so often, ideally, we'd say once every 50 years or so. So that's the reason for the difference in the structure sizes. I think this is a great improvement, not only because of the structure, but if you recall, we improved the intersection to make it much more safe. With that, I look forward to your questions.
Kurt, I'm glad to see that it came in under budget. By, $8,750. One question that sometimes people will ask is, why do the new constructions not have any side rails or guard rails? And I've been to the meetings with the township, so I've heard the presentation, but would you like to answer kind of why some of those features are no longer in our modern bridge?
Well, a guardrail is used to protect a hazard from the public. But guardrail is also a hazard. It's just not quite as great as a hazard as the item it's protecting. But ideally, if you can completely remove the hazard from the clear zone, that's the best solution. So what we do is we put the hub guards outside the clear zone, so there's no need for guardrail.
Any other questions? Looks a lot better than the.
Looks fantastic, yeah.
You bet.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the final
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
motion made by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you, Kurt.
One final comment.
Yes.
In regards to the Sheriff's Department's drones, we have used those to fly over our completed projects in the past, so thank you for allowing us to do that, and I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Okay. Our next item.
Item G, Department of Corrections, number 1, consider approving a contract between Community Corrections and Metro Pure Water.
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Willis, Shawnee County Community Corrections. I have to apologize. This probably should have been on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
As I learned the process, I'll make sure I add it in the right place on the agendas. Our staff currently have no system in our office for ice or water, filtered water, and currently staff are buying their own. We have grant funds available that we can work with Metro Pure Water, a company that other county agencies have used for this same process, to contract with them to put a water filter system in our kitchen area so that staff have access to filtered water and ice. So I'm just requesting that that be approved for us to begin contracting with them. Total amount would be $1,600 a year paid out of grant funds.
Okay. Questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item H, Commission number 1, acknowledge the resignation of Gilda Singleton from the Topeka Township Board and the Shawnee Heights Fire Board, effective March 8th, 2024.
We have received a notification from Gilda Singleton that she is going to need to resign from the Shawnee Heights Fire District Board. The process is, upon receipt of a resignation, we would take applications, and then the commission would then appoint. If her resignation is effective on March the 8th, if we could receive applications, I don't know.
But, I mean, usually give them a couple weeks at least. Give them-
Okay. Do
give
you
them-
want it to be by then because 2 weeks from now is March the 8th.
Good.
Do you want to have it on March the 8th?
That'd be good.
Okay. We will need to have applications by March the 8th, and then consider the appointment then on March the 15th, or, sorry, March the 14th.
14th, okay.
So that would be a motion then, that we acknowledge receipt of the resignation of Gilda Singleton, and we accept applications by March the 8th to be considered on March the 14th.
Just to clarify, you said the Shawnee Heights Fire Department Board, this is also Topeka Township.
Okay,
So there's 2 positions open.
all right.
So,
Yeah, occupied by the same person.
right,
Right.
right.
So if you have a ability to serve on either the Topeka Township Board and the Shawnee Heights
No, no.
Fire.
They're-
So, Commissioner, if you serve on Topeka Township, then you
You're automatically
automatically go
on,
to the fire
yeah.
department.
You're automatically on.
Okay.
So we're actually just replacing Topeka Township.
Township.
I don't know why we put fire on here.
All right, I'm just looking at it, okay, all right. All right.
She probably put that on there.
Noted.
Yeah.
All right, so if you have an interest in serving on the Topeka Township, there we go. Get your application in by March the 8th. That's a motion made.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H2, consider canceling the March 25th commission meeting.
We will need to cancel the March 25th meeting of the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners so that we can convene as the County Board of Canvassers in order to certify the presidential preference primary on that day. So that would be a motion to cancel the March 25th.
It's a work session.
That is a work
That's
session.
the door-
Okay, so there will be no work session on that day. So that is a motion.
And that will be the day we canvass votes, is that correct?
Correct.
I'll move, or I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 5, public comment.
Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment or seeing none? Our next item.
Item 6, administrative communications.
Department heads or
Morning, Commissioners. Nelson Castile, Emergency Management. As you can tell by the beautiful weather out there, we've got the severe weather season that's probably going to be on us pretty soon. So March 4th, the whole week of March the 4th is Severe Weather Awareness Week here in the Topeka area for the National Weather Service Topeka. We'll be watching their social media, our social media, some of our other media folks out there. They'll have some good severe weather tips going on, and then in collaboration with the Washburn University Police Department, Emergency Management will be hosting the weather spotter training that we do every year. That will be on Monday, March 4th at Memorial Union this year at 7 p.m. There'll just be the one session this year going forward. And then on March 6th is the statewide tornado drill, where they sound the sirens and set off the radios and do all that. And you should have more information coming out via email from our department and some of the other department heads. So I would stand for any questions if you have them.
questions? All right, thank you, Nelson.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Howell, Shawnee County Election Commissioner. I just wanted to kind of remind Commissioners as well as the public about the election coming up. The 2024 presidential preference primary, early voting in the office starts on March the 4th, runs for 2 weeks, weekdays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So encourage people to consider your early voting options. We will also have a half day of voting on the 18th. It will end at noon on March the 18th, and then March 19th, of course, is Election Day. So all of your normal polling places, there have been a few changes that we've had to make. Typically, we don't change election polling places unless we're either required to, or typically what will happen is polling places will get changed either for redistricting, which we've seen a few of those, and we usually lose a location or two every year. So I kind of apologize in advance if you've been moved. It's not intentional on our part. We try to avoid that to the extent possible, but you might check your polling location because a few of those have had to change due to forces beyond our control. So feel free to use the Secretary of State's website. Voter View is one way that the public can look at their voting history, what their polling location is. You can also view your ballots for your precinct. Again, in this particular election, they're all going to be the same. They're going to have Democrat Party will have their presidential candidates on their ballot, and the Republican Party will have their presidential candidates on their ballot. And unaffiliated voters, of course, if they wish to join the party, can also, once they've joined the party, receive that ballot. So additionally, again, I noticed it was on the agenda today, so that's great. Just a reminder, March 25th will be the Board of Canvass meeting at the election office for the final wrap-up of provisionals and other final counts. Happy to stand for any questions. Again, If the public has questions about voting or what's slightly different for this particular election, feel free to look at our website or call the office at 251-5900. We are still looking for, I think we're trying to find an extra 40 or 50 election workers, so I would encourage people, if you're interested in working elections, we're always looking, so please consider being an election worker. We're still looking for a few.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Laurent, Parks and Recreation Department. I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow we have trout stocking at Lake Shawnee. That will happen at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's at the main boat ramp just off 29th Street. We'll be stocking 7,000 pounds of rainbow trout. The lake will be closed through the 28th for fishing to allow the trout to sort of acclimate to their new environment. And we'll reopen on the 29th at 6 a.m.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other administrative communications? Okay. Commissioner Rippon?
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Mays?
Nothing for me.
I don't have anything either. Our next item.
Item 7, executive session.
There is a need to move into an executive session. It will be in consultation with attorney for the body or agency, which will be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and also as to relating to preliminary discussions relating to the acquisition of real property, not to exceed 20 minutes. Okay. And we will start that at 9:50. That's a motion made.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 3-0.
correct?
Just one person.
Okay.
You guess who?
You.
We are back from executive session. No action was taken. We are adjourned.